Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. New CBDC pilot for Ripple and Bank of England and Ripple news. You're going to want it. It's recent. And how about this? Could the current climate we're in right now on the geopolitical stage be pushing the world and the United States towards a neutral bridge asset? One guy thinks so, and you're going to hear it today. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, $1.08 trillion market cap for cryptocurrency. The market is off by 1.3%. Bitcoin, 26,800 plus, 1,500 plus for Ethereum. Tether market cap is 83.5 billion right now. XRP is 48 cents at the moment, and it's off by 1.3 on the 24-hour and off by over 8% on the 7-day. What is going on? I don't know at the moment, but I can tell you this. I trust capital. What I do know is the best crypto IRA on the planet, gold and silver too, and you can get in there and get your own back office. And by the way, I know a lot of people that are transitioning in their jobs right now. They got to roll over their 401k. You can do that right here with iTrust very easily. All you have to do is click the link below, because the only thing better than buying crypto is buying tax-free crypto. That's what I do in my IRA. You can do it too. Click the link to my sponsor. Oh boy, let's start right here. This is 2 minutes you're going to want every single bit of here. I tell you, the SBF trial, and let's not forget that people were harmed in this thing, but this thing has got the makings of a bestseller book or movie. What a mess this was, and we're about to find out just how tangled it was. And by the way, why was none of this discovered by the VCs investing in FTX? Why was none of this unearthed by the due diligence of Gary Gensler, who met with Sam Bankman-Fried in his office at the SEC more than once? And why was the FTX company awarded a dealer's license on top of it with the mess that you're about to hear uncovered? This is remarkable, the depth of problems and corruption inside of this company. Take a listen.
Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here during a break in the Sam Bankman-Fried trial. And it's been a doozy. It's been a doozy. Carolyn Ellison on the stand today, October 11th. And it finally got into the Chinese bribes. Now, this is a count that the Bahamas has put on ice, said that they didn't agree to it when he was extradited. And it seems like the count might go away, except that it was brought in today to show motive, method, knowledge. And here essentially is what it consists of. $1 million of net FTX's investment capital was frozen in China as part of a money laundering investigation. They wanted to get it out. There was a guy called Mr. Ma working for FTX. He tried to get a lawyer over there. No. They tried to get a lawyer over there. It didn't work. Mr. Ma had another solution, and the solution ended up involving bribes to Chinese government officials to the tune of $100 million through accounts in the name of Thai prostitutes. Yes, it's true. This case has it all. So there were multiple objections by Bankman-Fried's counsel, Mr. Mark Cohen, and Judge Kaplan agreed to a number of them, but then came back with a curative instruction or a limiting instruction that these were not being offered for the proof. Now, what's interesting is that mentioned more than once during Ms. Ellison's Chinese bribery testimony was Sam Trabucco, her co-CEO at Alameda. Trabucco saying, did Handy, another employee, did Handy's father turn us in over there in China? And SBF responding, lol. So Trabucco was absolutely involved in this alleged violation of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. So those wondering, where is Mr. Trabucco? This is a charge that the Bahamas can't make go away. An American citizen was today named in federal court with the knowledge of the SDNY prosecutors as having been involved in a Foreign Corrupt Practices Act violation with China involving $100 million of bribery money. So the question is, what happens next? Well, we're here, innercitypress.com. We've pointed out similar corruption at the United Nations, but now we're looking into this one. InnerCityPress.com, Crypto Creeps, to be continued.
Well, I tell you, first of all, shout out to Inner City Press for that. And shout out to Mr. Hubert for this comment. 100 million in bribes for all Chinese government officials. That's only 6.66 times the amount the director William Hinman $15 million financial incentive that he had and was instructed by the SEC that he could not accept or deal with, but did anyway. I believe that's what Charles Hoskins says is not a bribe, but calls it just receiving money. Oh, boy. Then there's this. Shout out to Jay Hunter Anson here as we finalize our Palau stablecoin. Pilot report and plan for the next phase. Today's Forbes article expertly summarizes the crucial lessons from Palau's journey for other nations possibly considering CBDC and stablecoin adoption. Now, the article wouldn't open, but I wanted to share this because there is going to be a next phase, and we can't wait to find out exactly what that is. Hopefully, Forbes will get that proper article posted soon for us. This is a reminder here. Last week, it was announced that Ripple gets another partner in the CBDC project with the National Bank of Georgia in a $1 trillion industry. Shout out to them. Remember, there's so many more that we don't even know about yet. And then there's this from Flip to Chain. This is global banks are aligned and working on direction and regulators for faster payments. NPA UK Director Shane Warman, Bank of England guiding NPA. Ripple has involvement with Ripple Bank of England paper. I'm going to show it to you in a second, but listen to what he says here.
Let's start off with something simple. Just explain to us what the NPA will do and what its benefits are.
So, look, the NPA is a payment system in the UK. The UK was the first country to have a real-time payment solution. That was about 2008. It needed to be updated. There was a process that was run a number of years ago, about 8 years ago, with the regulators, where they identified a number of changes that need to be made to it to modernize it. And one of those things that the way in order to deliver that, they decided the best way to do that would be to effectively build a new system. So that's what it is. It's a part of the wider payment. It underpins the payments ecosystem in the UK.
So why is Pay.UK doing this now? And why is the NPA needed, would you say?
Well, the reason why we're doing it now is because the regulators have told us we have to. So that's the case for change. And it is the right thing to do. So as I said, the faster payments, which is the name of the current real-time payment solution in the UK, is about 18 years old, or 15 to 18 years old. When it was, the world has changed. The world has changed. We've moved to ISO as a messaging standard. It doesn't support ISO. If you look at the growth in volumes, we need a faster solution. We need something that supports interoperability globally. So that's why it's happening now. Now is the right time to make the change to create the system of the future.
And there you have it right there. And shout out to Shane Warman for that and the great questions from the interviewer. And here is the document Bank of England shared here. Look, I want to bring you down into this and show you exactly where we are. I know I have it. 1 second. I will find it for us. And here we go right here. And this is obviously a recent document from 2023, still highlighting the cross-border synchronization joint project with Ripple, demonstrating synchronized FX transactions in 2 different simulated RTGS systems can be achieved. This hasn't gone away. This has been a many-year-old experiment that is still being cited as very relevant today, and that is extremely exciting. Understand what Shane Warman is saying there from the Bank of England. So with that being said, let's take a look at what's going on with Swift. Huge announcement on Swift website, and it says here, everyone's focus should be the big go live of November 2023. Read it right here. Everyone's focus should be on testing. There is only September to mid-November to prepare before the big go live date of 20 November. There you have that. And it says here, and this is all based on the ISO 2022 format at the start of coexistence phase, which we are currently in now. Less than 1% of that is expected to carry rich data elements with no signs of increases through the first year of coexistence. So we are in that coexistence phase. And if you remember, Victoria Cleland from the Bank of England told us that there would be a coexistence phase a few years ago, and that the systems would run parallel to one another because there would be a big bang cutover, which is what this sounds like. And the two systems would run simultaneously side by side in parallel in case something were to go wrong. They could revert back to the traditional payment rail is currently being used. So this is extremely exciting to see where all of this is going. Now, with that being said, temper it all. That's England and the rest of the world we're talking about so far. This is the United States government now. Senator Warren is saying here, calling on the U.S. government to reconsider its decision to impose a 2-year delay on crypto tax rules. Well, if you go into this, she doesn't want us to see this pushed off. Well, we don't either. But the only problem with Elizabeth Warren is that she doesn't like crypto. So whatever she wants to do in a hurry, she wants it to be damaging to crypto is the problem. She says, we're alarmed by the self-inflicted 2-year delay for rules implementation, which would contravene the requirements of Bipartisan Infrastructure Investment of Jobs Act and disadvantage law-abiding Americans. It says here, Warren further asserts that the delay will result in U.S. government missing out on billions of dollars in revenue. All of a sudden, this sounds a little bit bullish, but we all understand in this space that Elizabeth Warren is not a fan of crypto. She's absolutely doing the representation of the financial institutions here. So what could it all mean? Well, I remind you of this. It won't take long. Take a listen to her just less than a year ago, pressing the under Treasury Secretary to the U.S. Treasury, Nellie Liang, about FSOC stepping in and taking a role against stablecoin risk, which I have said if Congress doesn't do it, FSOC can do it without Congress's approval. But what would it look like is the big question. Take a listen.
The President's Working Group on Financial Markets recently identified a long list of risks posed by stablecoins. Run risk, payment system risk, concentrated economic power, illicit finance, investor protection, or to state that in slightly fancy, less fancy terms, it found that stablecoins run the risk of helping cheaters steal people's money, financing terrorism, cyber attack, ransoms, and the drug trade, causing a run on the financial system like we saw in 2008, and allowing big stablecoin users to dominate markets and harm consumers. Now, Secretary Lang, do you agree that these kinds of risks mean that stablecoins are not just an emerging threat to our financial system, but a threat that could become systemic if this market continues to grow rapidly?
So, Senator Warren, thank you for the question. So I do think there is some urgency to considering stablecoins and applying the appropriate regulations to reduce run risk and the potential for them to scale up quickly.
So are you, just let me remind you what my question is. Do they pose the threat of becoming a systemic risk?
Of becoming a systemic risk, yes.
Yes.
There's the answer right there. And then if we go over to this right here, this is Senator Haggerty, who says exactly the same thing and asks about FSOC. Just take a quick listen.
A tremendous amount of capital is moving around the globe right now, trying to search for a reason there. I'd like to turn my ability for just a minute, my last question, regarding the FSOC's ability to address designating financial market utilities is systemically important under Title 8 of the Dodd-Frank Act. If you were to take this market and address the utilities here as systematically important, the stablecoin market is much smaller than many of the systemically important financial market utilities. How would you go about making this determination, and would this be the first time that such a designation has been made under Title 8?
Yes,
And there it is, another yes. And I'm showing you this, and even though this is talking about stablecoins, think of it for a moment. Brian Brooks just told us a week or so ago that you could have stablecoins create a revolution from below around the world if you get the integrity right on stablecoins, and create even more demand for the digital dollar, or dollar, US dollar as it were. Now, with that being said, I want to show you this guy. This is Luke Groman here. Has 25 years experience in equity research, and you're about to find out why we're talking about him here in a second here. And basically a macro thematic analyst in the space. And he's done a lot of really cool things. But this is what he said, talking about the current state of where things are on the geopolitical stage going on with oil and everything else we're seeing. And I want you to hear him say a neutral bridge asset will have to be introduced if we keep moving in the direction we're going. And there are top officials in the government who understand this. Take a listen.
And import it from elsewhere to run more deficits to supply the dollars. That's what we do. So if we're actually bringing stuff back, relocalizing, that means the global system is changing. That means the global monetary system is changing. And if that is going to continue to happen, you have to have a neutral reserve asset. You can't have both treasuries be the primary global reserve asset, which means treasuries remain the biggest exporter of the United States. And if that is going to continue to happen, you have to have a neutral reserve asset. You can't have both treasuries be the primary global reserve asset, which means treasuries remain the biggest exporter of the United States, and reshore. If you want to reshore, you have to move to a neutral reserve asset. This is understood at certain levels in Washington, and that's what.
And there it is. And this is understood at certain levels in Washington. And I believe it is too. Remember, we talked about Caroline Pham from the CFTC discussing digital currencies. And she said the conversation in meetings that she's having are really concerns about a digital money, digital currency becoming in such demand and not being backed by any government or state that they see it as a threat. This is the moment we're in, ladies and gentlemen. Don't believe it. It's still true. Now, I certainly believe that when you're talking about a neutral bridge asset, I believe XRP has a very, very likelihood of growing to serve that particular position for the world. But we got to get it right. We got to get it right. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.